Sometimes we make entrepreneurship unnecessarily dramatic. We convince ourselves that if God has called us to build a business, we have to quit our job, empty the savings account, announce our new venture to everybody we know, and immediately become a full-time entrepreneur. But what if that's not the assignment right now? What if the job you desperately want to leave is actually providing some of the resources you need to build what comes next? Your current employment may be paying for your equipment. It may be paying for your website. It may be keeping food on the table while you learn. It may be giving you access to an industry you need to understand. It may even be teaching you exactly what you do and don't want your own company to become. Sometimes faith looks like jumping, but sometimes faith looks like building carefully, consistently, and responsibly with what God has already placed in your hands. Today, I want to talk about 5 businesses you can start without quitting your job, and more importantly, how to think about building something new while faithfully stewarding where you are right now. Hey there. Welcome back to Kingdom on Wall Street, where we talk about faith, business, stewardship, and what it really looks like to build what God has placed in your hands. If you're a Christian entrepreneur, business owner, or you're simply trying to become more disciplined and intentional with your kingdom assignment, you're in the right place. Before we get into today's conversation, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're bringing you valuable new content 3 times a day, Monday through Friday, as we build an ongoing conversation around kingdom business, entrepreneurship, stewardship, and purpose. Subscribing to this channel is by far the easiest way to stay connected. Now, let's get into it. Before I give you the 5 businesses, I want to deal with something that I think happens to a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs. We start resenting the thing that's currently sustaining us. You have a vision for a business, so suddenly your job becomes the enemy. Monday morning becomes unbearable. Every instruction from your supervisor irritates you. You start saying things like, I wasn't created to work for somebody else. And maybe entrepreneurship really is where you're headed. But be careful. Don't become so focused on what you're asking God to give you next that you stop stewarding what He's allowing to sustain you now. If that paycheck is paying your rent, buying your groceries, keeping your lights on, providing health insurance, or putting money into the business you're trying to build, then that job is doing something important in this season. That doesn't mean you have to stay there forever. It means you shouldn't despise provision simply because it doesn't look like the destination. And there's another advantage to starting a business while you're employed. You get to test reality. It's easy to believe an idea is good when nobody has had to pay for it yet. It's easy to imagine yourself running a business when you haven't had an angry customer. It's easy to calculate revenue before you've experienced expenses. Building while employed gives you time to discover whether you actually enjoy the business, whether customers actually want it, and whether the economics actually work. That's not a lack of faith, that's stewardship. So let's look at 5 possibilities. Number 1 is commercial cleaning. I like commercial cleaning as an example because the operating hours can complement traditional employment. A lot of offices, churches, retail spaces, professional buildings, and other facilities need cleaning when their employees and customers are gone. That means evenings and weekends can become your initial operating window. And notice what you're actually selling. You're not selling a mop, you're selling reliability. The customer wants to arrive in the morning and find the trash emptied, floors clean, bathrooms serviced, supplies replenished, and the building ready for business. That's the problem you're solving. You can begin small. You don't need 20 contracts. One recurring account teaches you something. How long does the work actually take? How much do supplies cost? What should you charge? What expectations need to be documented? What happens when you can't personally service the account? What quality standard are you going to establish? And eventually, if the customer base grows, you have something else, the potential to create employment. That's where kingdom business becomes bigger than how much money can I make. A healthy business can create dignified work for somebody else. It can give someone hours, responsibility, experience, income, opportunity. The business becomes a vehicle for serving customers and creating capacity for people. That's worth thinking about. Number two is mobile detailing. Again, look at the structure. One of the biggest expenses associated with many businesses is physical space, rent, utilities, insurance, build out, furniture, signage. Before you've served customer number one, the building may already be demanding money. A mobile model changes that equation. Instead of requiring the customer to come to you, you bring the service to the customer. You could begin with scheduled appointments during hours that don't conflict with your job. Weekends, certain evenings, days off. And this principle extends beyond detailing. Mobile pet grooming, mobile notary services, mobile photography, mobile repair, on-site technology support. There are a lot of businesses where mobility allows you to delay the expense of permanent commercial space. But here's the kingdom principle I want you to notice. Convenience is service. Sometimes we think kingdom business has to mean putting Bible verses everywhere. There's nothing wrong with scripture being visible in a business. I actually think there are creative ways to do that. But kingdom business is also reflected in how we treat people. Did you arrive when you said you would? Did you respect the customer's property? Did you communicate clearly? Did you charge what you said you were going to charge? Did you admit when you made a mistake? Did you correct it? Did you leave the customer better than you found them? Faith can be expressed through operational excellence. Integrity is part of the witness. Number three is bookkeeping. Now, this one obviously requires the appropriate knowledge and competency. Please don't watch one YouTube video about bookkeeping tonight and start managing somebody's financial records tomorrow. That's not what I'm suggesting. But if you already have administrative or financial experience or you're willing to obtain legitimate training, bookkeeping is an example of a service that can often be delivered remotely and scheduled around other responsibilities. Small business owners are frequently very good at the thing they sell and not nearly as enthusiastic about the administrative work surrounding it. The contractor wants to build. The baker wants to bake. The consultant wants to consult. The stylist wants to serve clients. But invoices still need to be reconciled. Transactions still need to be categorized. Records still need to be maintained. So one person's administrative burden becomes another person's business opportunity. And that's something I want you to start noticing. Business ideas are often hiding inside somebody else's recurring frustration. Listen to what people complain about. Listen to what business owners say they never have time to do. Listen for the sentence, I hate doing this. There may be a business sitting behind that sentence. And if you're going to handle another person's business information, especially their finances, then integrity becomes absolutely critical. Confidentiality matters. Accuracy matters. Trust matters. You aren't simply processing numbers. Somebody is allowing you into a sensitive part of their livelihood. Steward that access accordingly. Number four is website management. And notice that I said website management, not simply website design. A lot of people focus on the initial build, but websites don't stop needing attention after launch. Hours change, employees change, prices change, services change. Pictures become outdated, promotions expire, links break. Information needs to be updated. Businesses publish announcements, new locations open. Old information needs to disappear. That creates an opportunity for recurring support. Maybe you're not trying to become the world's greatest web developer. Maybe your strength is simply helping a local business keep its digital presence accurate and professional. And this is where knowing your boundaries matters. Don't promise complex development if that's not your skill. Don't sell cybersecurity expertise you don't possess. Don't claim you can build something you don't understand. Build the service around what you can genuinely deliver well. Then expand your capability deliberately. One of the easiest ways to damage a new business is to sell beyond your competence because you're desperate for the revenue. The customer isn't responsible for financing your learning curve without knowing they're financing your learning curve. Be honest. Start where you're competent. Improve, learn, expand, and let your reputation grow alongside your capability. Number five is a knowledge based digital business. This category is broad because the opportunity depends heavily on what you know. Maybe you create educational videos. Maybe you build a specialized resource library. Maybe you teach a course. Maybe you create templates. Maybe you publish industry specific information. Maybe you operate a niche membership community. Maybe you build a specialized directory. Maybe you help people understand something you've spent years learning. The advantage is that digital businesses can often be built incrementally. You can create one piece at a time. But there's something I want to caution you about. The internet has made it extremely easy to look like an expert. That doesn't mean you are one. Don't teach what you haven't learned. Don't manufacture authority. Don't exaggerate results. And don't sell people promises you cannot responsibly make. If your business is based on knowledge, your credibility is part of the product. Protect it. And don't underestimate what you already know simply because it's normal to you. If you've spent 15 years working in logistics, you know things a beginner doesn't know. If you've spent 10 years managing restaurants, you've learned things somebody opening their first restaurant desperately needs to understand. If you've worked in construction, education, hospitality, retail, customer service, administration, technology, or another field for years, you've accumulated knowledge. The question becomes, what part of that knowledge solves a problem somebody else actually has? That's where the business opportunity begins. Now let's zoom out. The five businesses aren't really the most important part of this conversation. The bigger idea is this: asterisk, asterisk. You can begin before you're able to leave. Asterisk, asterisk. And sometimes your current job is part of your preparation. Look around. What systems does your employer use? How are customers handled? What makes employees frustrated? What makes customers frustrated? What processes work extremely well? What processes are terrible? How does scheduling work? How is inventory handled? How does management communicate? How are mistakes corrected? How are new employees trained? You are receiving an education every day. That does not mean stealing confidential information, proprietary processes, customers, intellectual property, or anything else that doesn't belong to you. Integrity still applies. I'm talking about learning principles. Observe. If you eventually want employees, pay attention to how it feels to be one. Remember the manager who communicated clearly. Remember the manager who didn't. Remember how inconsistent scheduling affected people. Remember what made you feel respected. Remember what made good employees leave. All of that can shape the kind of leader you become. Don't waste the classroom because you're impatient for graduation. And while you're building, establish boundaries. If you're working 40 hours per week, you cannot pretend you have another 40 hours available for your business without eventually paying for that decision somewhere. Sleep matters, family matters, health matters, spiritual life matters, rest matters. Your current employer is also paying you for a responsibility that deserves integrity. So don't build your business on company time. Don't use company resources without permission. Don't neglect the job while collecting the paycheck. That's not kingdom stewardship. Create a realistic schedule. Maybe Tuesday and Thursday evenings belong to the business. Maybe Saturday morning is customer work. Maybe Sunday is completely protected. Maybe you give yourself 90 focused minutes each morning. The exact schedule isn't the principle. The principle is intentionality. Know when you're building. Know when you're resting. Know when you're working your current job. And stop allowing the business to occupy every mental minute of your life. You need enough structure to carry both seasons until one of them changes. Eventually, you may reach the question, when do I leave the job? And I can't give you a universal revenue number. Different people have different obligations. A single person with low expenses has a different risk profile from someone supporting a household. But there are questions you can ask. Is the business consistently producing revenue? Do I understand my actual business expenses? Do I understand my personal monthly expenses? Do I have reserves? Is demand growing? Am I turning away work because my job prevents me from serving it? Do I have evidence or just excitement? What happens if next month is slower? What does my family need? And most importantly, for a believer, have I prayed seriously about the transition rather than simply asking God to approve the decision I've already made? There's nothing inherently more spiritual about being self employed. And there's nothing inherently less spiritual about having a job. The question is stewardship. Where are you supposed to be? What are you responsible for? And are you handling the current season faithfully? So here's something practical I want you to do after this video. Take a piece of paper and create 3 columns. In the first column, write asterisk, asterisk, what do I know? Asterisk, asterisk. List your skills, your training, your professional experience, your hobbies, the things people regularly ask you for help with. In the second column, write asterisk, asterisk, what problems do I see? Asterisk, asterisk, what frustrates customers? What do businesses struggle to find? What do people around you repeatedly complain about? And in the third column, write asterisk, asterisk, what can I realistically start while maintaining my current responsibilities? Asterisks, asterisks. That's where I want you looking, not at whatever business happens to be popular online this week. Look at the intersection of what you can do, what people actually need, and what you can responsibly begin. You may discover that the first version of your business is much smaller than the vision in your head. That's okay. Small does not mean insignificant. Small gives you somewhere to learn. And if you're already building or you've already started your business, I want to tell you about something we're building specifically for the Christian community. It's called Asterisk Asterisk Ellen Trend. Ellen Trend is designed to help Christians connect across business, employment, partnerships, opportunities, community, and more. And we're early. That's important. I'm not telling you to join because millions of people are already waiting for you there. I'm inviting you because somebody has to help build the community we keep saying we want. If you're a Christian entrepreneur, create your profile. If you already own a business, add your business. Establish your presence while we're building the network. Because Christian business owners can't support each other, refer each other, hire each other, partner with each other, or even know what each other is building if we remain invisible to one another. So come join us on Ellen Trend. Let's build the connections alongside the businesses. And before you go, I want to hear from you. First, asterisk, asterisk. Are you currently working a job while building a business? What has been the hardest part of balancing the two? Asterisk, asterisk. Second, asterisk, asterisk. What skill from your current or previous employment could you potentially turn into a business? Asterisk, asterisk. And third, asterisk, asterisk, for those of you who have already made the transition from employee to full-time entrepreneur, what is one thing you wish somebody had told you before you made that move? Asterisk, asterisk, put your answers down in the comment section, especially that last one. Somebody reading your comment may be wrestling with that exact decision right now, and something you've already learned could help another person make a wiser decision. That's how we make this more than a video. We build the conversation together. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.